This portion of New Day Northwest is sponsored by Clean Crawls Insulation.
It's a new day all over.
Well, when we clean up around the house, it's pretty easy to forget about the things we can't see, but what is hiding there can actually make us sick and damage our homes over the long term. Back with us today is Clean Crawls, a company that cleans and seals attics, basements, and crawl spaces to ensure that your house is energy efficient and healthy. Please welcome the owner of Clean Crawls, Chuck Henriksen. How are you?
Very
nice
good,
to
Marty.
see you. So this is one of those things that we don't think about very much, but inside your insulation, in the crawl spaces, all the places that I studiously avoid looking are things that are bad for us, not just, nasty, but actually are not healthy for our kids and for our family.
Correct, yeah. If you think about it, it's areas that we don't occupy, so you
And we're kind of hoping nothing else does, but that's not always true.
Right. Possums, raccoons, squirrels, otters, mink. You can go through a list of animals that go into those areas. On top of that, you have mold spores that grow in those areas as well.
So none of this stuff that we have in our walls is meant to last forever.
No.
We eventually have to go in there and clean out.
Right.
Tell me a bit about how we go about doing that.
Well, Clean Crawls, we come in and we actually will take out each piece of insulation, debris, vapor barrier, and we'll bag everything as we get it out of there and try to make sure that we keep the house nice and tidy on the inside, because sometimes these accesses are inside the house.
Yes.
And so we're very careful about making sure we keep everything where it's supposed to be and not in the house.
Thank you for that. And then what do you replace this mess with?
Well, there's a very varied items you can use depending on the situation. You can use fiberglass insulation, which today the binders are much safer than what used to be used. Or you also have the option of like spray foam insulation, which can be used to also seal a home and insulate it.
That just completely fills the space, right?
Correct.
So it's sealed, and that sounds great to me. And which one is that?
This is your spray foam insulation.
Okay.
So this is
So
a
it's
good
that
example
thick.
of it right there. Well, it can be as thick as we want to apply it.
Okay.
Depending on what the situation is, what R value we're trying to meet, this can go as thick as you want. 3 inches is an R21. Where a fiberglass, it's 5.5 inches to get that same R21.
Wow. So you can get something in a smaller space that gives you better insulation. And I just love that it fills it up so you're not going to get critters and stuff in there.
Correct, and it's very hard.
That's great.
Which also provides an air seal on the home, which also keeps the dirty air and losing heat from the house from happening, and so we can get a proper seal on that house to make sure that you don't have the unhealthy home.
Super important. And if you have kids or if you have allergies, that's one place that you might think about looking, because that can be a hidden danger in your house. I'm always amazed at the things you've seen, but show us the 2 tubes there and what happens
This is an
when you
example.
go clean things out. Look at that. Oh.
That's an example of what's in a lot of older attics, and you'll see a lot of debris in there and whatnot. Most of the time we find things like rodent feces, bat guano. We find quite a bit of. There's a lot of things that would surprise you. We find in attics and
Chuck,
crawls.
I don't think anyone has ever said bat guano on New Day Northwest before.
I'm glad to be the first.
You are. It's amazing. Okay, so that looks much better. I'm happier with that.
Yeah, and this is what code is today. It's an R49. This is typically the level and depth of insulation you should see in your attic if you're buying a brand new house today.
Okay.
We do our best to get this into even older homes.
So if your house is how old, 20, 30 years old, when is it that you absolutely should go in there and make sure that you've got the right insulation?
Well, in 1990 is when the codes changed, and so things started increasing quite a bit in 1990 forward. It doesn't mean that it's that way today. Even some of the newer homes get insulation tromped down for people working,
right?
Or all those animals get in there.
Yeah, I don't like to think about that. Let's take a look at some before and after pictures, because it really is amazing what you can do. So tell me about this project.
Okay, on the left side you have a product called Silverwool, which was a kind of a shredded wood type of material. And not very good on fire ratings, and so it could cause some problems. And on top of that, if you look in there, there's feces. It's hard to see in this picture, but there's feces in there, and so getting all that out of there and getting brand new insulation blown in is what you're seeing on the other side.
Looks much better. Let's see the next one. Ah, look at
And
that.
it's the same
I love a
thing.
clean space. Look
Yeah.
at that.
And that's the hose, us going in and sucking that material. It's getting pulled straight out to the truck. And then afterwards, as you see, that's where the level should be. So you can see the rulers in the attic.
Right. And the cleanup's so important, as you mentioned, because you don't want that blowing all over your house.
Correct.
Okay, let's take a look at this.
This is a crawl space underneath a home. And that's the way it looks when rodents get into it, right here. And this is the way it should look
Right.
down in the crawl space. And the vapor barrier is very important so moisture doesn't get in your floors.
Yes. So that looks like lots of clean mummies on the right. Okay, same thing here.
Same
Rodents
thing
and
here,
things
but
have
if you
gotten into
notice, your ducts are exposed. And
Yeah.
a lot of times if you look in your crawl space, you'll see every 6 feet there's a black ring on your insulation.
Mm-hmm.
That's dirty dirt getting pulled into your duct system
Yuck.
and going into your home. So we go in and we seal up these types of ducts here.
Right. Okay. Sounds good. All right. So we can call you and get an estimate and find out what we need. You'll come out and take care of things.
Yes, absolutely. You give us a free app, or give us a call. We give you a free quote, and we'll come out and evaluate and make sure that everything's aligning. Also, we're affiliated with PSE, so we'll make sure any of those rebates that are out there we can get those to you.
Fantastic. That's one of my favorite words today, besides backguano, of course. You can book your appointment with Clean Crawls today, and if you tell them you saw them on New Day, you get 10% off your service. All of their contact information can be found on our website. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mark.
it. Next up, it's almost the rainy season. Not yet, but soon. So we're going to check in with Leaf Guard to make sure we're ready with our home gutters right after this.